months postpartum. And there's 2 pink lines. Yay! I was terrified. I don't think I talked to my husband for the rest of the day. I was like, don't talk to me. Like, I cannot believe this. I can't do that again. I cannot do that again. Well, I did it again. I had another baby. And so anyways, Cash's story. Cash is my second son. He is 4 months old now. Cash's story was I had complications with his pregnancy, with that pregnancy the whole time. I think it was because it was so close and close together. A lot of doctors recommend you wait at least 18 months to have another baby, but I was 7 months postpartum, so I don't think my body could handle it because I breastfed Bo for a whole year. So I went from being pregnant to giving birth to breastfeeding for a year and then being pregnant through that. So my body had not had a break in like 2 years. I haven't had after this, I had had a period since 2017, if that tells you how close and crazy everything was. Bo was born in 2018, Cash was born in 2019. But okay. So I was 37 weeks. Like I had said with my complications, I had dehydration. I passed out at the grocery store. I was constantly lightheaded, no matter what. They kept telling me I was dehydrated, but I had like an addiction to ice during Cash's pregnancy. So like, I know that that's not true. Even my husband was like, no. I woke up with a really bad ear infection when I was 37 weeks pregnant. I couldn't hear out of my ears. Like, I could not hear straight up out of my ears. It was like my fingers were in my ears and like it was so clogged. So I made an appointment at a a clinic, and I walked in and went to this urgent care to get my ears fixed because I hate that. And so they took me back. I wasn't feeling very good. They took me back and they took my blood pressure and it was like 146. And I was like, did that just say 146? And she's like, yeah, we're going to need to take that again. Like, are you feeling okay? I'm like, not really. And she's like, okay, well, we're waiting forever and ever and ever because it's an urgent care. And she comes in, they like, whatever. She's like, we'll be right back. We'll do like a flush out of your ears to get like everything out from in there and just like make sure like there's no infection or anything. I started having contractions. It was like, I was like, ooh, it wasn't painful. So I was like, I think these are Braxton Hicks, but like they were getting painful. So I was like, it doesn't really feel like Braxton Hicks. I'm like, I feel like the real deal. My blood pressure was high. I was feeling kind of loopy. I was like, ooh, this might be my body going into it. So I started feeling like some contractions, something happening. I told them, I was like, I'm kind of having contractions. She like monitored me and like took my heart rate and took everything. And she was like, I think you're in labor. So we're going to flush you out really quick and then you need to go to the hospital. So I was like, okay. So they hurried up, flushed my ears out, and I was like, all right, Ryan, well, and I even told her, I'm like, I don't really want to go to the hospital. I had so many complications where I like went to labor and delivery so many times to figure out what was going on, like me passing out, blah, blah, blah. So I was like, it's probably just something stupid. So we went home. I was like, I just want to take a shower, man. Like, I just want to like relax. So we ended up going in just to make sure and have them monitor me. We went in, they say the same thing. We think you're just dehydrated. We see the contractions, but they're not like doing anything. I was like not dilated, like, or anything. So they're like, I just think you're dehydrated. And my husband was like, she's not dehydrated. I was like, I am not dehydrated. Promise you that. I drank and ate like 6 cups of ice in like 3 hours, like every single day. So I was like, I know that I am not dehydrated. So they gave me a big old cup of ice water and they're like, well, drink this. And I was like, okay. I finished that in like 10 minutes. I was like, I love water and I love ice. So this is doing like blah, blah, blah. So they ended up taking like my blood, my urine to check everything and make sure everything's good. Anyways, so they do other tests And they're like, okay, well, we will call you in the morning with like results and let you know. So I was like, yada, yada, yada. Okay. So we went home, went to bed. They called me like first thing in the morning and they're like, hey, we got your results back. Can you come in so we can talk to you? And I was like, yeah, sure. So I was like, and I kind of just like, I was like, let's just bring the bags just in case, like, you never know. I like took a shower. I was like relaxed, shaved. I went in, I'm like, they're gonna just send me home. They're gonna say I'm dehydrated. But they said that they found protein in my urine, which means that I had, like with my high blood pressure and protein in your urine, that means you have preeclampsia. So they diagnosed me with preeclampsia and I was like, okay. So the doctor came in and he sat down and he's like, hey, so I was 37 weeks and 5 days. So that's full term. They're like, so he came in, he's like, hey, so I'm thinking that we should just induce you. It's like, I don't feel comfortable sending you home because you do have preeclampsia and like all your symptoms that you're having. I just want to make sure I can monitor you and baby. He's like, so I think we should prep you and we should start the induction process and let's have a baby. I was like, oh my gosh. I was excited, but I was scared because of my experience with Bo. I was like, oh my gosh, I cannot do this again. There's no way I'm mentally ready for this. So I called Ryan and I'm like, hey, because he just stayed in the car with Bo because Bo was sleeping and we just thought I was going to come right back down. I was like, hey, we're having a baby. Like, come up here, bring the bags. He's like, what? Okay. So he brought the bags up. What's really cool is they gave us our room and it was the exact same room that Bo was born in. So that was super, super special. So the induction process was long, very long. They started with this pill that they just like put inside me to try to soften my cervix because I was at like nothing. I wasn't dilated. I wasn't a face, nothing. So they had to start me from square one. So they put like this pill up inside my cervix to try to soften me up a little bit so they could like do more. So I think that pill, you had to wait 12 hours, I think, to see if it worked was the case. I can't remember fully, but that did like nothing. It did nothing. It was a long time. Ryan went home because he had to stay. Bo couldn't stay in the hospital with us, so he went home. That was my first night spending without Bo Maverick. It was sad. I cried my eyes out. I've spent every single night sleeping with Bo since he was born, and he's almost 2. Anyways, so they started that didn't work. Then they told me about a Foley catheter. If you guys don't know about a Foley catheter, this thing, you guys are gonna hear my kids in the background. This is a video about me having kids. So they told me about a Foley catheter. I was so scared of this. Oh my gosh, so scared of this. So what it is, it's a catheter that goes up inside your cervix. So they'll put this huge catheter up inside your cervix and then a balloon, like here's your cervix, it's closed, right? Then they're going to put a catheter in and then there's gonna like a balloon that they blow up that sits on top of your cervix and puts pressure. So it's like manually opening your cervix. She's like, yeah, we'll do that. And like, it's just going to put pressure on it and you'll have cramping and blah, blah, blah. Cause you're going to like, it's going to open it up. And like, by the time it'll just fall out, like the balloon will just fall out. You'll be at like a 5 or 6. And I'm like, I'm going to manually be opened by this catheter balloon to a 5 or a 6. I was like, oh my gosh. But I was like, I want to get this over with. Like, we got to do this. This was already the next day. This was the next day. So I was like, cause I had spent the whole night waiting, you know, on that pill. So they did the Foley catheter. That was painful, but you just have to breathe through it. It started getting uncomfortable and they had asked me like whenever I was ready to get an epidural, let them know. So I was at the point where I was like, I don't want to get to a 5 or a 6, man, and like not have my not have my epidural. So I told her, I'm like, let's get my epidural. So I looked the doctor in the face. I'm like, listen to me. Listen to me. I said, I had a baby here like a year ago and my epidural fell out of my spine. I'm like, I don't care if you duct tape it around my body. Make sure that thing stays taped on my back. Make sure it stays in my spine. So he was like, okay. He took his time. He did a really good job. He taped my back, like the whole back. As I was getting my epidural, I was like, I think this like balloon is coming out of me. So they checked and they like kind of pull on like the catheter a little bit and like it came out. So then they checked me and I was at a 5. She's like, good, that's progress, that's progress. So after my catheter, or after everything was in, you know, after they had taken the Foley catheter all the way out, my epidural was in, my catheter was in, they started me on Pitocin, which will like manually give you like labor contractions and get things going. Now that I was open to a 5. Those, like the Pitocin was really not working for a while. I ended up sleeping and sleeping and sleeping and sleeping and sleeping. And then eventually I woke up and I was like, I feel uncomfortable. Like, I just feel like weird. Like, I don't know. I just feel weird. Like, I wasn't in pain. I was like, I feel weird. So I called her and I'm like, hey, I feel like just a little crampy. And she like was like, okay, let's check you. And she like checked me and like, boom, there's baby's head. She's like, woo, you are done. Like, you are fully ready to go. Like, this baby is coming. I was like, I just started bawling my eyes out. I was like so excited to meet my son, and like, but I was scared. And so they put me up in the, they put me in the stirrups, I think is what it's called. Ryan grabbed one leg and then another nurse grabbed the other. And this was such a delightful experience, you guys. Like, they're like, okay, when a contraction comes, push. And I was like, I pushed and I was like, how is that? Is my pushing good? Like, how I imagined things would go with Bo in the beginning, right? But this like was magical. He was out in like just a couple pushes. He was 7 pounds, 8 ounces, his tiny little hamburger. So all was well. It was great. I felt good. I looked way better than, because I was like super traumatized with Bo. I was like puffy and like, what happened? But everything was well. So